Okay guys, so welcome to another exciting video from Pycoders Academy. So in our previous video we looked at how to group our data in tables. In today's video we'll be, let's say, looking at some other essentials that will be helping us in our web development course. Okay, so let's look at what we should expect. Now what we will do in this video will be adding images in HTML, the div tag, the sections in HTML, and some let's say how to create comments. Okay, so let's see. For the first one, we will look at adding images. Now to add the images, as we have been doing, we just use tags. So you use the image tag. Now the image tag is actually written the img tag, like less than, img, and greater than. Okay, so it has no let's say closing tag, so it's actually a void tag. Now it is a void element, as I've already said, and function in conjunction with the src, which means source parameter. Okay, so it actually functions with the source parameter. Without it, like without this src, you are actually not seeing anything there, because the source parameter will actually point the web page to the image you want to, let's say, add. Now the alt is a parameter used in place of the image if it doesn't show. So if your image is not showing, or because of some reasons your browser is not showing your image, you use the alt to handle that. Okay, so we can actually see an example in, let's say, VS Code. So what I'll do is I'll create a new file. So new file. Okay, now inside this new file, what I will do is I think I need to close this video. Okay, so I'll create a new file and name it as adding images, so that we can add images to that. So I'll save it. Okay, so adding images. Now I'll store it as HTML. Okay, HTML. So this HTML. Now save it. Okay, so what we have been doing, doc type, then HTML. Okay, then the HTML tag. Okay, then I'll close it in here. Okay, then I'll have the head and the body. Okay, so this is actually what we have been doing. So head, then I'll have the body, then I'll close it in here. Okay, so simple. Now this is the structure. Now I'll say adding as my title. So title, adding images to page, then I'll close it. Okay, then inside my body I'll add my image. Now to add the image is very simple. Just do img, then src. So what I said, the attribute src is very important, and it is used in conjunction with the img tag. Now this src points to the location of your image. Now where is my image located? So I can check for where I am in right now. So let's see. Okay, so see, add the folder, open user into open. I use this thing folder. Okay, so I can go to save as to check the location of my file. Now adding images, it's at where? Okay, let me see. Okay, I think it's not in desktop, so we save it at desktop. Okay, so we save it as HTML, not Django HTML. So HTML, then you save it at desktop. Okay, so I think I have some images inside. So I have an icon here, so I have icons here, and I want to add this icon. Now the name of this icon is what? Content.png. So that's what I want to do. Now this my HTML file, which is the current one, is actually on my desktop. Now on this desktop, the icons is actually inside the icons folder here. So what I need to do is I need to specify the entire location to the complete path to the image. Now what is the image part? Now the image part is actually icons and like the image name. Now icons is my folder, you see, so I can go to my VS Code. Now pass, it should be a value, so icons. Now how did I store the icons folder? Okay, small I, so I just do icons. Then what's the name of my file, or what's the name of my image? Content.png. Okay, now that's what we are talking about. So we have actually added the link to the image. So we are at the desktop now. We move on to the icons folder, then you go to the file we want. Now you need to specify another parameter, so it's optional. It's not very let's say compulsory or something, so it's optional. So this actually tells your browser, or this actually gives you a text when your image fails. So maybe because of some browser issues or because of the image doesn't exist, it gives us let's say an information of the image there. Okay, so let's say there's actually content image, so just a title. Now I have this. Okay, so what I can do is I can just run this code and see what I'm getting. So I'll go to this guy. Okay, so you can see the image has been added here. Okay, so that's what we are talking about when we are adding image. Okay, then we can also specify, let me see. Okay, so we can also specify some width and height to actually minimize it a bit. Okay, so it's actually a tag, so the style parameter can be passed in here. A lot of things can be done inside. So we have width. Now I want to specify a width of let's say 50 pixels. Yeah, so it should be a value, so 50 pixels. Then a height of also 50 pixels. Okay, now we have our dimensions defined, so I can go to my Google Chrome, then see if it has turned small. Okay, so you can see it's actually resized there. Okay, so the img tag is used to add your images to the web page. Okay, so you can add the images using the img. Now when let's say I had the link wrong, or when I had the link to my image wrong, let's say I intentionally make it wrong. Let's see what we get. So I intentionally made it wrong. I'll reload. So you can see I'm getting content image. So this actually the ALT I passed. So I passed content image as the ALT, so alternate text. Okay, so that's what you will see when the image doesn't show. So because of any reason which will cause the image not showing, then the alt will actually get run. Okay, now I specify the icons here since it was in a folder called icons. So if it's in another folder, to specify folder then the file name, so icons / content.png. Okay, so it's very simple. That's how to add images to your web page. Now to add a div tag. Okay, so what's a div tag? A div tag can be seen as, let's say, a container which groups your elements into sections. Any type of element which can be used in the body tag can be placed in here, and it is represented as the div, like surrounded with the less than and greater than and being closed. So it makes styling very easy. Now the div tag is actually represented as a container, so it contains your content. So I can just go to my VS Code. Now instead of, let's say, just writing it like this, I can group it. So inside a container called the div tag, so I can just bring it here, div. Now you can apply all your CSS things you want to apply. So div here, then you can add another one. So this is actually in a container. Now if you are styling it, it will actually, let's say, be your container you are styling, not just the image. So you can style all the container, then you can also style the image inside the container. Okay, so now you have, let's say, created a container containing an image. Okay, so you can put some more elements inside that container. So div tag actually specify that, okay, there's actually a container, differentiating it from another component inside your web page. Okay, we can also look at the next slide. So the next slide will be, let's say, sections. Now sections in HTML is very key and simple. Now for sections, I actually, let's say, group them into 4. So we have the nav section. So the nav section is actually, let's say, the links at the top of your web page. So something like home, about, pages, and so on. So that link up there is actually a nav section. So you can section that link using the nav tag we have here. We can also have the aside. So the aside is actually not part of your content, is also somewhere. So at the right hand side, it's normally seen at the right hand side of the page. So to section content aside the main content. Then you have the article. So the article section is actually, let's say, a content or a part of your section, so a part of your container or a part of your web page, but inside the body. So we put it there to actually, let's say, represent a part of the body. Then the section will actually differentiate a part of the HTML code. So when I have a total web page, which is the body, so when I want to section it into, let's say, different sections or different parts, I actually use sections to do that. So it's very simple. So nav is actually containing your links, aside is separating some links at the right hand side or some information at the right hand side away from the body or away from the main content. Then the article will be, let's say, section independent content, so the content that is not dependent on another content, so it's very independent. Then the section will just divide it into parts, divide your page into parts. Then we can also have the header section, the footer section, and the main section. So header is actually the head of your page, footer is the footer, as in the foot, so the end of your page, which will contain your copyright, your down links, as in the bottom links, and so on. Then the main will actually represent the main content of your body. Okay, so that's how the sections is in HTML. So there are 4 key sections: the nav section, the aside section. So nav is actually containing your links, aside is containing information at the right hand side, which is not part of your main content. Article is actually, let's say, representing independent content in your section. Now the section will divide your page into parts. Okay, so you can look at another slide. So this slide is actually talking about comments. So comments are used to add extra information to a part of code but doesn't form part of the code. So it's actually written as part of the code but it doesn't form part of the. So when you run your code, it won't be run, and it could be single or multiple line comment. It is represented as what you see there. So this thing. Now let's see how we can apply the comment. Now let's say I want to comment that I have this is my title, so I'll just do less than exclamation mark, then dash. You see it's actually added it for me automatically. Then for like dash, then greater than. So I can just do this is my title, this is my title. Okay, then I can do same for here, that this is my image or this is my container. Okay, so this is my container, this is my container. Okay, so it's very simple. Now let's see if it will be run in our browser. Okay, so you can see we got only the image, so it will represent that the comment doesn't show. So that's what we are talking about. Comment is just, let's say, you communicating to other developers in your team. So you are telling them, okay, there's this, that. So it's actually self-explanatory. Okay, so that's why we use comments in HTML, and that's how you write it. Now what we did was a single line comment. You can also do a multi-line comment, so something like this. So you can see this multi-line, so you can just do it like this, then you keep on writing on another line, so something like this, and you keep on writing. So that's what we are talking about. So in this video, we looked at some other essentials in web development. So other essential tags. So we looked at the img tag, which helps you to add images to your web page, and you can add it in another folder, exactly like from the root folder. Then we also looked at how we can apply the alt parameter to actually, let's say, specify let's say a description to your web, a description to your image when the image in some case is not showing or something. Yeah. Then we also treated the div tag, which represents containers that contain other components or other elements or other tags in your HTML. Then we looked at how to section your page, which is the nav section, which contains your links. So when you are creating a website, you need to group them into this format. So nav is at the top containing your links, then aside will be your information, which is at the right hand side, so an extra information away or outside the body. Then we can also, but it's inside the body, but it's not part of the main content. Now we can also talk about, let's say, the article. So article is actually, let's say, differentiating the independent content. So independent content which doesn't, like, let's say, form part of the body, so it's differentiate them from the main content. Yeah. Then you have the sections, which also divide your web pages into some parts you want to, let's say, divide. Then we ended off with the comments. So comment was actually, let's say, a way of communicating to other developers which doesn't form part of your code. So when you run it, you won't see anything or anything inside that less than exclamation mark something you saw there. Okay, so that's what we did in this video. So in the next video we will look at something else. So thank you for watching. Subscribe to this channel and like this video.